Right, I invite you to sit down, get comfortable. Slightly diminished numbers tonight. Everyone who's here, I think, is here. Nalakarich wajak mort kayan karak nijawalila buja, where jenang wajak karajan, where knitting bula ye. We acknowledge the Whadjuk people as the traditional owners of the Greater Fremantle Walyalup area, and we recognise that their cultural and heritage beliefs still guide us today. We have councillors Thompson, Jones and Archibald, we have councillors Thompson and Jones on leave of absence. We have councillor Archibald as an apology. She's attending a funeral this afternoon. And councillor Vusic as an apology. Councillor Vusic did email a request for a leave of absence, but it needs to be granted at a council meeting, hence she's an apology for tonight, and she requests a leave of absence for the remainder of the period that she emailed about, so the 20th of September to the 29th of September. Doesn't make much sense, does it? Because it's 27th of September. Can we do it retrospectively? No. Well, anyway, I don't know if there's much point giving her a leave of absence to the 29th of September, given that we have no meetings between now and then. I guess we don't know. So we could say a leave of absence from the 27th to the 29th of September. Is that correct, Theo? Yeah. Okay. So I will move. Oh, 28th. Yeah, thank you. Good point. Yeah, I believe she applied with the end date of the 29th of September, so I'll just check that with agendas and minutes. Yeah. So it's unlikely we'll have a meeting between now and tomorrow till Friday, but I will move that and ask for a seconder, Councillor Sullivan. All those in favour? And against? Councillor Graham against. That's carried. Right. Nobody mentioned the Electoral Commission. Do we have any disclosures of interest by members? Nope. Good. The agenda contains responses to questions that were taken on notice at the last ordinary meeting of council. So that brings us to public question time. We have two people here to question or make a statement, Ian Kerr and Margaret Kerr. I have them listed in that order, but I'll give them the discretion of choosing which order they want to speak in. As frequent flyers, I think you know the drill. 3 minutes.
Yeah, probably worth more than my Qantas frequent flyer points, I assure you. Okay, thank you, Mayor and Councillors, and let me thank the Director of City Business for responding to my comments at the FPOL meeting by providing to councillors all submissions received for operating the Arts Centre Cafe and the Leisure Centre kiosk. This provides assurance that councillors are in fact fully informed when making their decision. But on a separate matter, many of you will remember it is now 11 months and 1 day since Council last considered the Swan River Crossings project. On 26th of October 2022, Council noted, quotes, community concerns in relation to the proposed realignment of Canning Highway to the foreshore, and resolved that Council requests a briefing on the key design options explored by the Alliance following the previous public consultation in July 2021, supported by sufficient and publicly available information to enable the city and community to understand the options analysis, including an assessment against listed principles and objectives, before and after traffic data and modelling, including impacts on safe controlled pedestrian access, detailed information about design levels, cross-sections and contours, and design assumptions regarding future access, including traffic movements to and from Victoria Quay. The resolution also requested that the Fremantle Bridge Alliance facilitate a multi-criteria assessment process, including key stakeholders and community representatives, including stakeholder input to the evaluation criteria and ratings, consideration of the three options provided in attachment 1 to that agenda, and consideration of a fourth option for the tunnel to be provided by Main Roads. Since that time, there has been a deathly silence, and I'm sure that applies from my discussions with various people. It applies much more widely than just a group of us in the community. So I have a series of questions to Council and to the administration. Firstly, when was this request presented to Main Roads? Secondly, was a response ever received? And I've had experience in my professional career of responses not being received. If a response was received, why have Council and the community not been informed? Fourthly, did any such response include any of the information or assessments requested? Fifthly, if a response has not been received, has the request been followed up with Main Roads? And sixthly, has Main Roads sought in any way to engage with the City of Fremantle about Swan River crossings at any time since 26th of October 2022? Thank you. I have a copy here.
Thank you. Ask you to hand those in. And Margaret Kerr.
At the council meeting on the 22nd of March 2023, the council voted in favour of, quote, adopting a budget amendment of $35,500 from unfunded expenditure to the 2020-23 budget for mid-tier support for the Vice to Parliament, being sufficient funding to deliver outcomes identified in this report, and also delivery of outcomes that maximise community engagement and information from May to July 2023 and aligned with Reconciliation Week and NAIDOC Week. Can the Council advise whether this money was in fact spent? Secondly, provide a detailed breakdown of how and when it was spent. And thirdly, provide an assurance to ratepayers, some of whom have expressed concern, that none of this expenditure contravened Section 17 of the Code of Conduct, which refers to the misuse of local government resources. Thank you.
Would ask people not to try and allege anything from the public gallery. I think the Director of City Business can probably give us an update on that.
Through the chair, we'll answer those questions on notice to give exact details, but approximately $30,000 of that budget has been spent to date, but we can provide exact details on what has been spent and what it was spent on.
Right, I noted a couple of people came in late. Did you have any desire to ask a question tonight? Well, that will take us to the rest of the business. So, petitions, I haven't been advised of any petitions, and deputations or special deputations neither. Or presentations. So I'll move that we confirm the minutes of the Ordinary Meeting of Council dated 23rd of August 23, seconded by Councillor Moughlin. All those in favour? That's unanimous. And I'll go to elected member communication. Do we have any elected member communication? Councillor Lang and then Councillor Kamada.
Thanks. Just as a quick update from the Perth Southwest Metro Alliance, two really exciting things have happened recently. I'm not sure if anyone has been following, but through that group, we've been funding a citizen science project to monitor the snake-necked turtle, and that's primarily been happening in Coburn, but we've also been contributing to that project as part of our role in that group. The exciting thing is we got funding from Lottery West, which was significant to kickstart the project. But since that time, the project has actually grown, been so successful. It started with the group here. It is now in Bayswater, Belmont, Canning, Claremont, Joondalup, Katanning, South Perth, Stirling, Wanneroo, Albany, Cambridge, Denmark, Harvey, just to name a few. So that's a very good citizen science project that will have good environmental outcomes that's come from our role in Perth South Metro Alliance. Another exciting update as well, we've got an agreement to start looking at a unified approach to measuring tree canopy in our region, which is a hot topic that we always talk about. But the ability to understand what tree canopy percentage is, so we're comparing apples with apples and using best practice across the region, would also save us a lot of money by sharing those costs across the region. So that's something else that was kickstarted at the last meeting. And the final piece I wanted to add, may have noticed the thousands of people in Fremantle on Sunday. That was no coincidence, that was International Mini Moke Day on Sunday. And just some stats for you. Canberra had 3 mini mokes, Sydney 7, Melbourne 25, and Fremantle 33. So we took the banner out this year as the largest collective of mini mokes in Australia.
Very good. Very, very good updates. Councillor Kamada.
Thank you, Mayor Fitzharding. Yeah, I thought I'd just take this opportunity to recognise that last Friday, obviously there's a very important announcement made in terms of the master plan for the Fishing Boat Harbour. And at the same time, I was fortunate enough to attend a workshop that concentrated mainly on the northern section of the harbour, but the workshop, the starting point for the workshop was the public domain report of 2019 and the the Fishing Challenger and Success Boat Harbour reports of June 2022. But we were mainly talking about that the northern section, which is where all the hospitality, I suppose, it's a hospitality precinct for the tourists and so on. Now, the workshop was well attended by various stakeholders, including representatives from the city who were fantastic, and just the discussion explored the endless possibilities that we're all well aware of that go with the harbour, you know, the linkages, the respect to the heritage in the area, and so on. You know, I could go on and on. But there's a couple of points that I'd like to make in respect to what came out of the workshop. One of them was in regards to, and there was an article today in the paper on the boat lifter site, which it wasn't an area that we were actually concentrating on in this workshop, but it is something that's going to be very important, and I think it's going to be vital that the city continue to work well with state government and advocate to get the best possible outcomes for that area. That was just one particular area, and obviously there's many others. One of the other points that I thought was important to just highlight was discussion about, and it's in relation to the CAT bus and the old Fremantle tram tours that we used to have, and it is an area that I think that we need to focus on as well in terms of getting people in and out, and it's something that they were certainly very much in support of. And probably the final point I'd like to make is that on October 8th is actually World Octopus Day, and on that day they will be unveiling a new sculpture, which is of an octopus. It'll be in that section adjacent to Char Char Bull. So that'll be unveiled at 10 o'clock on Sunday, October 8th. Now, it may be just a small aspect of the harbour once it is in that position. But I think these sorts of things are really important because, along with the Bella and the pioneers statues that we have, and all these little things, they all add up to keep people in the harbour. And I think we all appreciate that it's a hidden gem, that harbour. I mean, obviously I wear a few different hats, but in my occupation at the harbour, it's amazing how many people come down for the first time and say, we didn't know this was here. And then there's people that have lived their whole lives in the area, and they'll go around the corner and see Bathers Beach and say, I didn't know there was a beach there. Or they'll go into another little part, and if you go up to the end towards Challenger Harbour, and there'll be other areas that they just weren't well and truly not aware of. So that's all an important part of the mix of wayfinding, etc. And I just think Fremantle in general, I think that it highlights that Fremantle itself, I think, is in the same category. It's not just something that's special for us living in Fremantle, but it's a little hidden gem for the state, and the state's got to realise how important it is, and you know what a magnificent little gem it does have at its disposal if it wishes to work with us to reach the potential that is out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kamada, and also noting the success of your advocacy work for Western Rock Lobster and the local supply boost, which I'm sure will make a lot of happy Christmases. And I'm sure there'll be more than 33 octopuses around Fremantle on the 8th of October. Great. I think that probably brings us to the end of elected member communication. While we're on interesting topics, I will recognise we've got a couple of new people sitting around the table as in our executive. We've got, well, new Pete Stone, who is acting in the role of Creative Arts and Community Director. And we're grateful to the City of Melville for allowing Pete to come back to us here at Freo. And Mark Donnelly sitting in for Russell Kingdom. So thank you for sitting in. Can't see any other notable figures, but we really appreciate you being here tonight. So that brings us to the end of elected member communication. Councillors, I'm going to suggest that we talk about the FPOL lease item last on the agenda, because I have a strong feeling that it's likely that we will delve into the confidential attachments for that item. So I was going to suggest we do the other items first, and that makes it sort of easier if we need to go behind closed doors to talk about the confidential section of that. So I'll start by moving the first FPOL item. Oh, planning. Yeah, I'm just reading that. Councillor Jones isn't here, otherwise I'd ask him if he wanted to say anything about it. But Councillor Graham, you're the Deputy Chair of Planning. Did you want to move that one and say anything about it?
Yes, I'll move that, Madam Mayor. So I'm moving PC 309-12, Development Application Fee Waiving. That's for 2 sites, as you're aware in the agenda.
Get a seconder for that one? Councillor Lawver. Back to you, Councillor Graham.
Yeah, the Curedale site for the Indigenous homes, which has been floating around since mostly the early 1990s now, and it's finally getting some traction. And the other one is Strang Court or Strang Street. Perhaps less said about that, the better.
Thanks. Any speakers on this item? I guess I just would note on that Curedale Street item how nice it is to see that moving ahead. I mean, I think the late Patrick Hume was, you know, responsible for gaining that piece of land early 90s. Yeah, and you know, with a view to creating a place where particularly older Aboriginal people could have stable housing with a, you know, long-term ownership. So it's really good to see that that's actually moving ahead now, and we'd love to see some building starting to happen. So really good news. All right, so I'll put that one to a vote. All those in favour? Great. Now actually to the FPOL items, and Councillor Archibald isn't here, so in her place I'll move the Grants and Sponsorship Policy Amendment. Get a seconder for that. Councillor Groom, is there any discussion on this one? Nope. Councillor Graham, you've got your button.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll put that one to a vote. All those in favour? Excellent. And we'll leave the other FPOL item to the end. Did anyone wish to speak on any of the C items? Otherwise, I might move them on block. We all good. All right. So I'll move C 23091, 23092, and 23093 on block. I'll get a seconder for that. Yep, Councillor Lawver, and all those in favour. And that's unanimous. So that brings us back to the second FPOL item. So I'll move the officer's alternative recommendation and get a seconder for that one. Councillor Pemberton. Excellent. So perhaps if anyone can just flag if they do in their speaking, if anyone wants to say anything perhaps prior to going behind closed doors. This might be a good opportunity to do that. And some of you have flagged you don't want to talk about the confidential attachments. No? Well, I guess I'd just say at this point that it's really pleasing to see this moving ahead. I think we've all been pained for a period at seeing these two sites not active, and they're really important, not just from a council perspective, but from a community perspective. So it feels very optimistic to be getting to this point with a proponent who, if the officers are understood correctly, could be a real asset to our community. So I'll move that we go behind closed doors. Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Graham. Okay, so we'll ask people to leave and end the live stream. Oh, we do vote. Silly. Thank you. All those in favour? That looks to be unanimous. Thank you.